When we think about how this world is going to live with itself from the sort of human point of view, how we're going to get on, given all the conflicts that there are and the divisions that there are, and we ask questions about how we could overcome them and how we could make the human future a better, more collegial, more harmonious future, we need an analysis of how things are at the moment. Some people will say that the divisions are as deep as they ever have been. Indeed, that there seems to be a resurgence of commitment to religion. The wider the gap between those who understand science and those who don't, the more that those who don't understand science are going to hang on to old certainties, old ways of thinking about the world, and that these divisions therefore will deepen. So that's one analysis. But here's another analysis, and it's the one that I'm tempted by, that actually what we're witnessing are the death throes of worldviews premised on ancient scriptures and old ways of thinking about things. Because functionally, the dominant outlook in our world is the scientific technological outlook. You know, when you think of everything from modern medicine to laptops to aeroplanes to communications to mobile phones, everywhere in the world depends upon and is connected in some way to these new technologies. So you can be speaking on your mobile telephone about what it says in the Old Testament, believing what it says in the Old Testament, and yet having in your hand evidence of the fact that that worldview has been surpassed a long time ago. So we're at a kind of point of conflict between what you might describe as two major ways of thinking: the old kind of superstition-based way of thinking and the new scientific technological way of thinking. And the conflict between them is an active one. There are people so worried about the effect of the globalization of the secular scientific worldview that they are fighting back against it. And here's why I say I think there might be, that phenomenon might be one of the old way of thinking being in its death throes. That when you get a fairly dangerous animal cornered, it becomes more dangerous. The noise level goes up and the threat level goes up. And we're facing noise and threat at the moment because of this clash of new mindsets against old mindsets. So we're living in a dangerous time. If we could survive this dangerous time, and the new mindset really does help us to shift the way that we think about things in our world, and of course with the progress that these new mindsets themselves are bringing forward, like machine learning and robotics and the rest of it, then we might be breaking out of sort of white water region of our journey into the open sea. There's a great debate, isn't there, in ethics about whether or not our ethical judgments are subjective and expressive of our preferences and even sort of emotional responses, or whether there's something objective that lies underneath our systems of values. My own view is that there is something objective, and what's objective is a set of facts about human nature and about our world. So we know that sentient creatures, and human beings among them, are capable of suffering, of pleasure, of pain, of fear, of delight, that our fellow human beings, very, very few of them like to be cold or hungry or alone or imprisoned or prevented from having normal human possibilities for endeavor. And these facts by themselves tell us something about how we should behave, what we should and shouldn't do. There's also the fact about us that we have natural propensities to empathy. So when we see somebody in pain, we wince. When somebody yawns, we yawn. Somebody is laughing hilariously in the street, we're amused by it and we start smiling or laughing ourselves. So there's a kind of, connection between people which bonds us to them and to their interests. You're walking down the street and you see somebody standing under a crane and the cable is about to snap and a huge load is about to fall on that person's head, you're very, very likely to shout out a warning. Doesn't matter who they are. It doesn't matter whether they of an ethnicity or wearing religious symbolism that you don't like and so on. You call out a warning to that person. Or maybe people used to until the day of the iPhone, and now people take out their iPhone and say, "Oh, this is going to be interesting." But generally speaking, our sympathies for our fellows provide us with a connection that gives life and reality to our moral activity and to the values that we live by. Of course, we have the great problem of the in-group and the out-group, and we don't like them, and we want to be greedy and selfish and be self-interested and so on. These things do happen, but generally speaking, every second of every day, in every town and village of the world, most human interactions and transactions are cooperative and kind. And on that basis, I think we can be optimistic that if humanity can survive itself and all its conflicts and its ideological strifes, that the world can be a good place for human beings and indeed for all life.